For decades, Putin has thought to increase his influence on the African continent. Blackmail with food supplies is a method that helps the Kremlin maintain leverage in the region. For example, Ghana and Senegal are critically dependent on Russian grain.
There is information that Putin promised them separate bilateral deals on the grain issue in the event that Russia withdraws from agreement with Ukraine, the UN and Turkey, and there was even talk of free supplies. So far, by the way, the Black Sea Grain Initiative has not been completely buried, and many say that it is necessary to wait for the Russia-Africa summit. But then this makes a trip to the summit to Russia even more urgent for African leaders. Maria Snegovaya, expert of the Center of Strategic International Studies, in an interview with Voice of America.
Another effective method of pressure and blackmail is the supply of weapons and mercenaries. PMC Wagner took part in military operations in Libya, Sudan, Mali, the Central African Republic, Mozambique and Burkina Faso.
If you look at the speeches of Putin and any other Russian officials, they begin by saying that Russia and Africa have a long relationship. Accordingly, some African countries, they are in power, as in South Africa now, the elites who have been helped by Russia in the fight against apartheid, thus they feel fully obligated to cooperate with Russia.
The presence in some African countries of the Wagner troops is not a gesture of goodwill, but a way to make money, unofficial. Moscow, according to experts, receives a considerable profit from mining in the region.
Another reason is how Wagner entered several African countries, pushing the traditional companies that were engaged in the development of minerals there. And Wagner, in fact, took over several countries in Africa and also provides services to another of these countries, and as a result receives disproportionate income. Some researchers say, for example, that part of Putin's black cash desk directly to him was either created thanks to this activity of Wagner or hidden in Africa under the protection of Wagner.
In addition, isolated from the civilized world, Russia is fighting for every vote in the UN and the sympathy of foreign politicians. It is also important for the Kremlin to maintain the illusion that Russia has not lost most of its partners after the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine.
First of all, for Russia, Africa is a way to show both the world community and especially its domestic consumer, that is the ordinary Russian, that Russia plays some big role in international arena. The sanctions do not work, that is recognized by the community. Look how many countries like Africa, also Latin America, Asia. This is by developing relations with African countries, Russia creates for its citizen the illusion of significant international importance.
Africa for Russia is also a sales market, including energy resources and fertilizers. Anti-Western sentiments popular in the region are fueled by the Kremlin with propaganda. Moscow is convinced that the West has forgotten about the problems of Africa, focusing on the war in Ukraine. Despite powerful propaganda, pressure, attempts at bribery and blackmail, the Kremlin has not received direct support from African leaders, but the connection between Kyiv and the region is strengthening, experts assure.
There is a certain positive trend, and even the fact that there was a visit to Kyiv, the president of the Republic of South Africa came to Kyiv, was in Bucha. We notice how the rhetoric of this generally pro-Russian politician is changing in relation to Russia, and other notes appear. The personal presence still narrows the scope for maneuver for such people. We have seen the drama unfolding around whether Putin will be in the South African Republic at the BRICS summit or not, and as a result the Prosecutor General's Office of the Republic of South Africa and not the International Court of Justice in The Hague issues a warrant for his arrest.
At the same time, African countries continue to maneuver on the issue of sanctions and do not support the restrictions imposed by Ukraine's allies. Western experts continue the discussion about what should be the policy towards the region in such conditions. Some are convinced that the West should help African countries more, including those that cannot be called democratic. Their opponents do not consider it possible to support such regimes, even to weaken the influence of Russia in the African region. Reported by Roman Smoler, Larisa Zubenko, UA TV News.